man on the right there, you sir. Yep.
I thought what he should first of all teach President Bush is how to spell the word sorry. And then secondly, he should advise him that sometime in the nearest future, somebody somewhere is going to indict both of them for crime against humanity.
Okay. David Davis. Say sorry and they risk being indicted for crimes against humanity. What's your reaction to that?
Well, no, I'll come back to that. What I want to say is this. It's that the advice he should give to George Bush is don't close any options whatsoever at this point. Martin was right. There are casus belli, particularly with Iran, but you've got to put those all behind you. More important, there are current mischiefs, frankly, going on from Iran and Syria, which you've got to stop. You've got to turn around. You've got to change. And frankly, unless you approach this with a very open mind, in the same way that George Bush's father built a coalition for the first Gulf War, which was successful, a coalition, remember, which included Syria. You've got to approach it in that manner, and he did that with an incredible piece of diplomacy. He's never been given credit for it. If we approach it in that manner, then we have at least a chance to get out of this in a way which, with honour, in a way which serves the interests both the people of Britain and the people of Iraq. And
Do you think he did say that?
And I have to say, I think we owe the people of Iraq and we owe the soldiers who served there nothing less.
Do you think he did say that?
I suspect he did. I watched them very briefly this evening on the news. They both looked almost broken. I mean, the response that was coming from them to the press conference was almost broken. But I suspect he did. But I worry slightly. I have to say, one of the people in the audience said earlier that how much Bush listens. And one of the things I don't think our Prime Minister has done, he's had huge leverage in many ways with the American public. But I don't know the extent to which he's actually exercised that leverage with President Bush, and actually that's a very serious problem for our alliance.
Well, it was a State Department analyst who said last week we about the Brits, we typically ignore them and take no notice. We say, there go the British trying to tell us how to run the empire.
Yeah,
Let's park them, it's a sad business.
You know, the Prime Minister has been making the case for talking to Iran and Syria for months. In fact, he set it out in a speech
that
earlier.
Suggests he's not being listened to.
Well, he's had influence on the Iraq Study Group. He gave evidence, he made that case, and clearly that's been taken into account. Now, this is a wonderful opportunity for the President of the United States to take some account of that. Yes, to keep options open, but then to redirect strategy in Iraq so that we keep our ultimate goal of supporting the Iraqi government in its legitimate democratic aim, but we also try and work with with Iraq's neighbours and concentrate on the Middle East.
Between the lines, you seem to be saying that in some sense the President was at sea and waiting for somebody else to pitch in with advice, and that's what the study group was.
Well, I think
he wanted back under adult supervision, I think.
Well, I think, you know, this is the real world, and political reports of this nature really matter, and it is a huge opportunity for President Bush and the people around him to refocus their strategy.
You need to start by equipping the Iraqi forces a lot better than they are now, because the British and American forces are, you know, well protected, but the Iraqi forces are very vulnerable.
And the British.
We'll come to that maybe in a moment. You say in the front row. The gentleman in the front row there.
Now that the neoconservative administration is in tatters and the project for the new American century is also in tatters, it's time to look at reality. In Iraq, I don't believe it's civil war. I think it's total out-and-out anarchy. And I think we owe the Iraqi people a huge debt to have a dignified and compassionate, restrained withdrawal as soon as possible.
Your advice then, Blair's advice, should be get out.
In an ordered, structured, compassionate way.
It's not civil war, it's sectarian war. And I don't think when Bush went in there that he was aware that he was going to create something never seen on the planet before, which is a Shia Arab state. And this has sent a wave through the whole Islamic world. This is something that has never happened before. And this is on the ground in Iraq, this is a war between the insurgency and the militias. But take it a bit further, the Sunni atomic bomb, hydrogen bomb, is in Pakistan, and soon we may well have a Shia bomb in Tehran, and then we'll have a 30 years war, sectarian war with nuclear weapons. That's the scope of it.
I'll take a couple more points. You, sir, and I'll take the gentleman there.
One of the most powerful examples of a politician in complete denial
was Richard Nixon in the last stages of the Vietnam War. I think the real danger here is, and particularly after some of the comments that George Bush made last week, is that he surrounds himself with the same neocon quango which led to him making the wrong decisions in the first place, and doesn't admit that actually he's just made a mistake. And it's a much underestimated quality, particularly in politicians, the ability to stand back, assess the situation rationally and admit we've made a mistake, and whatever strategy we come up with now, it's an exit strategy.
Okay, and
I'd like to say that I found what David Davis said about Iran as causing a bit of mischief is slightly offensive. When he talks about wiping out a whole democracy, Israel, that's a little bit more than mischief. When they fund a terrorist organisation like Hezbollah, that's a little bit more than mischief. When Ruth talks about a two-state solution, this is a man who says that if we recognise Israel, and we do in a two-state solution in America and in England, they will feel the full fire and fury of Islam. That's a little bit more than mischief. That's dangerous, especially as he's got a nuclear weapon.
Isn't it the case that
hang on a second, let just David Davis answer that briefly.
Well, I take the rebuke, actually, but the simple point I was making is that there is a history with Iran which we have to put behind us, from the Tehran embassy onwards. That we can't think about. What we have to think about is how we get this country rescued from the situation it's now in. Okay. That's the point. Now, there are many practical things to do. Some of them are political, building a contact group locally of the constructive nation. Let me finish.
Well, now, I just wanted you to have a chance to reply.
And secondly, also, to reinforce the army, the only institution of any substance in Iraq. Now, those are serious things. The word mischief was just meant to refer to current action, rather than to say it's not very important. Anything but.